Welcome. Dr. Stephen Hobbs here from the Wellth movement. This is Perspective Thursday, a video sharing some insights about topics that I am working on and wishing to share with you. And today is about evolve your legacy. There has been a series of videos already shot about speaking about legacy, defining it, giving you insights into the branches, and you can find the links below. But today we're going to look at evolve your legacy, stepping more into what it is that you can do yourself to be able to embrace this thing called legacy. Before we do that, just a reminder, please subscribe, ring the bell if you want notifications of when the next video is available, and comment, like, and share. I do appreciate learning from you, and we can continue our learning through the comments and the likes and the shares. So with that, let's dive into today's topic, and it's evolve your legacy. I think it's helpful if I define legacy so that you have an understanding of the term as I'm unfolding it for you. Legacy is about the useful what's that you gift others so that they can learn something from your lived experience. And the useful what's here are your time, effort, money. It's your execution, your use of time, effort, money, and how it plays out in your interactions with others, with the world, in being for the world. But today I'd like to take a look at evolve, because other videos unfold, unpack this concept of legacy. But today it's to look at evolve. And as you know, by listening in on the videos that I share, is that I play with words, and evolve is no different. And what I'd like to do is to take a look at the first four letters of evolve. And if you were to flip them around, it would spell the word love. When you take the middle two letters, flip them around and add the last two letters, it forms the word love. So there's a definition that I offer about evolve around this concept of love. And the first one is to love your history. So if you think about it from that one perspective of this way, it's love your history so that you can bring the best of your history forward, which means then that there's a complementary opposite to that, which would be is to love your mystery, which is when you flip the L and the O and go in this direction, it's love your mystery. And therefore, when you play with the middle two letters and you flip them around, it forms the word lo. And there is a phrase that says lo and behold. So let's just take a look at evolve from this perspective here. To evolve is to love your history. There are things that have happened in your life, your lived experience, that you can draw from that helps you to live your extraordinary life now. I would call those your best practices. More, I think more importantly, would be your wise practices, because you've tried a lot of different things over the years and you found those that work and you're going to bring them forward. I call those wise practices. And when you do, you can match it up with your love, your mystery. Now, mystery is about that which is coming forward. It's sort of from the future, where you're unfolding a possibility, you're manifesting. These are elements of our mystery. And if I was to play again with the words, history is, hi, here's my story. With mystery, it's my stary. And stary or stir is actually star in quite a few languages in the old English version of the word. So it's very much about, hi, here's my story, my history. Here's my mystery, my star, my guiding purpose, my star that I'm looking towards, the constellation, what I navigate from. So evolve. It's when you love your history and you love your mystery, lo and behold, you're present. You are here because you have a balancing of history and mystery. That's what it means to evolve. And it's a constant connection between the two of those. And it will unfold a little bit more when I go into the other elements of the presentation today, which are the letters that are here. So I'm hoping that that gives you an appreciation of what it means to evolve and to bring this notion of love into and through and because of living your extraordinary life to evolve your legacy. So with that, I have been asked many times, what is some practical steps that one can take to be able to evolve your legacy, to live from your legacy? And I put together what I call the 5S model. And that's what I'm going to share with you now. These ideas that I've got here for you all start with the letter S. And let's just go through them and I'll explain and give you some ideas that will be, I hope, helpful to you. The first S is that you've got to set up. And by set up, what I'm referring to is it's great if you have an intention. You have something that you're working from. We call that purpose. And you have a statement or an image that you are working from, living from, playing from, so that you can move forward. That is the ability to set up. And it comes also with this idea of preparation approach and prevention mindset. The preparation approach is, again, using the wise practices to form a foundation from which you can set up. It's sort of like the platform that you've got. When you have that, also then have a prevention mindset. I sort of liken it to you've got to come at this from a place of hope and faith that it will materialize in a way that makes sense to you. And you're bringing all of that material to set up. It's like when if you're a musician, you set up the stage to be able to give the performance. In other words, you're going to set yourself up to achieve that which makes the most sense for you, that you love to have in your life, and to share this love from your life. So that's the element of set up. The next one that we're going to take a look at is to step forward. To step forward is, what are you going to pay attention to? What are the steps? If there's stepping stones, what are those steps that you're going to take? If I have my intention, then I have attention, and I'm going to take the necessary steps forward. Now, here is an important element, which is the commitment. Commitment is to make a promise, especially for yourself, that you are going to step forward. And here is an interesting point. Often you hear the phrase, it's the first step along the journey. I understand that. I agree. However, I think it's the second step, because you can always take the first step back if you haven't made the full commitment. But when you've taken the second step, you are now into commitment. It's a slightly different way to image the journey and taking your steps forward. Now, with saying that, there's another element that sort of binds the set up and step forward, and it's the following: patience, flexibility, and discretion. I learned about this from my overseas work. I spent time with the Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies and the International Red Cross. And it was during those missions in Africa that I learned these three words. They just wove themselves into me. The patience, the flexibility, the discretion. And the patience is that things didn't always go the way that I would have liked them to go each day. And I certainly have that in my own life today, in the work that I'm doing and the people I'm interacting with. There's sometimes I've got to really be patient. Some of the bigger projects that I'm working on around the world, it just doesn't go the way it needs to go. And okay, no, be patient here. Some people work in different ways. So I have known to take that sort of breath, that reflective breath, and just take it easy. The flexibility is to be able to have that movement where I can sort of ease into things and or speed up if I need to. There, I have the flexibility to go whichever way I need to go. And then the discretion is that often in those times when I was working overseas, I would find myself being told things or learning about things that I had to keep to myself because I would have hurt some others, or what I would have done is I might have set a chain of events in play that could have things happen that I didn't want to have happen. It's sometimes when you're told something in confidence, keep it in confidence. I learned that sometimes the hard way, and I have been true to that ever since. This patience, flexibility, and discretion. Let me give you like a really great specific example. When I was working there, I did a lot of what was called development work, interacting with the Red Cross and the local Red Cross. And it became very obvious very quickly is that I didn't always quite know who was going to show up. It could have been someone I was expecting the day before, or it could be the person I'm expecting the day of, or someone comes in a day early. It was always a little bit of a mystery, so I had to love my mystery, but also do it from this place of history to bring the best practices, my wise practices to my work. And it was always joyful is because I didn't quite know what would happen. And there was one day in particular when the person from the yesterday, the today, and tomorrow all arrived. But the funny thing was, I could speak to the three of them together because it was all in the same project. So it was a wonderful experience to be able to have that unfold right in front of me, and we had a great laugh about it as a group as we shared tea. So that's an example of stepping forward. So I had to set that up for myself, you can appreciate, and then I had to step forward into that arena to be able to deal with the projects that I had for myself. So the next one I want to take a look at, and this is a profound one that had came about on many occasions in my life, and it's the concept of stay found. Now, where this really played itself out was the days that I would instruct wilderness remote first aid. Yet I spent 25 years sharing the stories and practices and concepts about how do you do wilderness remote first aid if you find yourself in a situation. And one of the things that I always shared with those who I interact with, those who are enthusiasts of the outdoors, was to continue to make the point is that if you find yourself lost, stay found. In other words, don't keep wandering all over the place. Is you actually, if you find yourself lost and you've let people know that you were in a certain area, then stay found, stay close to the path, the area in which you found yourself. There's many stories of people in search and rescue who followed the person, especially like in the wintertime, or those who could track in the summertime, is that people wandered around and spent up their energy, their reserves, and that's when things happened. They slipped and fell, or they got hypothermia, and sometimes it would actually lead to the possibility of the person dying. And that concept of staying found has been something that has been woven into my life from this perspective. Staying found is really about being clear about who you are as a person and what it is that you're going to do when you interact with others. It's about your self-concept, your self-care. And when you stay found, you don't have to wander or disappear for a little while. You're able to meet those you're going to meet. You are going to, lo and behold, be present. You'll balance off your history and your mystery, and you can be present. That's what it means to evolve. That's what it means to stay found. So I'm hoping I've made that point for you. It's one where when I'm doing some of my facilitative mentoring on one-to-one, I find that people have got themselves lost and wandered off somewhere. Whereas, well, why don't you stay found? And if you need to, ask some questions of people. And they said, well, I never thought of it really that way. I said, yeah, that's how you can stay found. It's the tapping into the network that you have created for yourself. So the next one that I'd like to take a look at is this idea of shine light. With the light, this probably intuitively makes sense to you. Yet I'd like to take a look at light in 5 words or 5 verbs or 5 actions that you can take, because hopefully it will stimulate you in this idea of sharing your light. Now, it becomes obvious here is that one of the first ones is to illuminate. When you shine the light, your flashlight, the light that is in the lighthouse, it's illuminating an area or a pathway for yourself. And one of the things that you do because of who you are and your interactions with others is that you can illuminate a light. And if you've set yourself up and you have stepping forward and you are staying found, when you go to share your light, you can illuminate path, especially from your lived experience, that will be of value to others. Now, herein is if you're still in the workplace, for example, and you're living your legacy, it's that you can illuminate the pathway for others. And you can do it through something like mentoring. The same thing applies if you're a grandparent with your grandchildren. You can illuminate a path forward of introducing your grandchildren to nature and doing it in such a way as that they can set themselves up and step forward in a way that they can really appreciate what nature's about, learn about the principles of staying found. Yes, if they get lost, but also staying found in the moment so that it unfolds for them so that they can learn. That's one of the ways in which to shine light. So again, those are a couple of examples. Another action verb that you can work with is this whole idea of reduce. You may have heard the phrase lighten the load. Often we're carrying a lot of baggage is another word that some people talk about. And through conversations with others, you can lighten the load. You can reduce the burden. And this is a possibility not only for you, but also what you can share with others. This is a way in which you can interact with your family and friends, your work colleagues, is giving them an opportunity to reduce their burden. However, be alert to when you might do it through a coaching or mentoring versus a counseling perspective. If you're not trained in what it means to be a counselor or licensed in a sense, then be really careful about going across what I call the line. But you can coach and mentor and help a person reduce their load. So that's another way in which to shine your light. The next one I want to look at is an old English use of the word light. It means to descend or light from the horse. I also use the word ground. It's a sense that the light, when you shine your light, you're able to ground yourself, but also when you're in conversations with others, collaborative conversations, you can help ground them. And this is a really wonderful way in which to be able to support yourself, support others, to help rather than hinder. And so I bring forward this notion of to ground. The next one I'd like to look at is around lighten up. I sometimes hear that even for myself. You got to lighten up a little here, Steve. And that reminds me is to play. So to lighten up is that I might be taking myself a little bit too seriously, or I find myself in a very serious situation and we need to lighten it up a little bit. I actually created a series of programs that I did for teams and groups, and I called it Simply Serious Fun. And it was just to play and have some fun while you're in the workplace. And I often gave them activities that they could do when they were back in the workplace, as much as what they did when they came out and had like a little bit of what we would sometimes affectionately call a play day. Now, with this is the idea to shine light on the play, to lighten up, not to take things so seriously. And I mentioned it about the work. Let me just share one from the grandparents' point of view. Sometimes you can get so serious on your walk that you set an intention, you set up an intention, you're stepping forward, and you might miss something that could be such a playful experience. And I know sometimes jumping in a puddle, but jumping in a puddle can be fun. All right. If it's a warmish day, that is possible here as you shine light. The next one that I would bring to your attention is the use of light as a way to ignite the fire, to spark the fire, to light and spark some interest in someone, or to inspire them in moving forward. Also for yourself, how might you ignite that spark that's in you? And that's why when we talk about this notion of intention and attention, it's about awareness. Is that when you're setting yourself up, you're going to ignite something there. You are going to then step forward, paying attention to what's going on. If you're going to stay found, it's an awareness of that setup and that stepping forward so that you can shine your light and therefore have this ability to ignite the possibilities for yourself and others. Which then gets us into, having looked at those 5 elements of shine light, is gets us into this idea of sharing wisdom. You can appreciate that as you move through all of this, the movement and how you have profited from that movement in your life, is that you've gained wisdom, lived experience. And I liken it to the following, is that you've tapped into lots of facts, you've turned that into data that means something to you, that then informs you, it informs the formation of ideas and structures and tools and techniques that then allows you to gain the knowledge. And I think of knowledge is, what do I know that when I get to the ledge, knowledge, is that when I step out, not necessarily my first one, but my second one, is that now that I'm committed, everything that I need is going to be present because I have the knowledge that it's there and it will move forward. If I feel as though I don't have all the knowledge, it's not necessarily the best to just step out or run out, but also to maybe just regroup and figure out what's available to you. I appreciate sometimes you just got to go for it, and I get that. But going for it also means is to have the knowledge of what it means to go, so that you understand when to stop or continue or to start something new. So when we take a look at this notion of share wisdom, the lived experience, again, you can offer that in ways of like mentoring or celebrating or weaving. So to evolve your legacy is to set it up, step forward, stay found, shine light, and share wisdom. And these all interact with each other. And these are actions that you can take. You might find yourself in a position where you want to share some wisdom, some appreciation for nature, but you haven't really set up a time to go out there. But you can still have that conversation because you can shine light on the importance of nature as you might see it, so that you can encourage people to stay found, to be present when they are with nature, just as they can learn, okay, what steps can I take? And therefore you can help them set it up. And if you're sharing that activity with them, think of instructors in the outer doors, then you can set up the experience, get people to step forward and work your way. So it's possible to mix and match these 5 elements, these 5 action outcomes. So I'm going to leave that with you, but just before I do, I want to encourage you to subscribe, ring the bell if you want more notifications of videos, comment, like, share, so that we can interact with one another. Now, the last thing that I would place on the table is just the reminder that to evolve is to love your history. Hi, here's my story. To love your mystery. Here's my star. This is my direction. So that lo and behold, this is me. This is where I am. I'm bringing my history, my mystery together. And lo and behold, I can evolve my legacy. I can live my great life. I can create well-living workplaces. I can contribute to being for the world. So this presentation gives you an opportunity to look at that. And I would encourage you to watch the video, stop at each time you hit an aspect of evolve in the definition. And also, when I go over step up, listen to it and then stop the video and just think to yourself, think and feel what it means to set up. And do the same for step forward, stay found, shine light, share wisdom. Because then you will have, in a sense, developed like a blueprint for yourself of movement that you can take, but also how you can profit from that movement. And profit not in the sense of just money, but ideas and relationships and ways in which to be for the community. With that, I'm going to say thank you, and I wish you the best, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care.